A reading from John, chapter 14, verses 23 to 29. Jesus answered Judas, not Iscariot, "Those who love me will keep my word, and my Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words, and the word that you hear is not mine, but is from the Father who sent me. I have said these things to you while I am still with you. But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. You heard me say to you, I am going away, and I am coming to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice as I am going to the Father, because the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it occurs, so that when it does occur, you may believe.
In this week's reading, Judas asks Jesus a question. Now, this isn't Judas Iscariot. This is another Judas who was also a disciple. The question he asks is, how will Jesus reveal himself to the disciples, but not reveal himself to the world for the moment? And in his reply, Jesus talks about love and relationship, the Advocate, who we might think of as the Holy Spirit. And he talks about his impending departure into heaven and, crucially, his peace. So how would you describe peace? And where do you get your peace? Relationships are very important in the Gospel of John. In chapter 14, Jesus says that he dwells in the Father and the Father dwells in him. And there are several references throughout the Gospel about the need for the disciples to dwell in God in one form or another. Jesus promises to send them the Advocate to be with them once Jesus has departed. And the relationship between the disciples should be a strong one, cemented with bonds of love. Judas had asked Jesus for a sign of God's presence. And it turns out that that sign was not going to be anything particularly flashy. The sign of God's presence among them was going to be the love and the relationship that they had with God, and the love and relationship that the disciples had with each other. And that's true for us as well today. The sign of God's presence among us is the love and relationship that we have for God, and the love and relationship that we have for each other in our church community. And importantly, the love and the relationship we have with those people in wider society, whether they come to church or not. It turns out that we're nurtured by our relationship with God, by our relationships within our church community, and by our relationships with people outside of our church community. Because God gives us each other, and that's an important part of the jigsaw. And so what about that peace which Jesus left with his disciples? I don't think it's about peace and quiet. I think it's more about the peace of mind, which comes from knowing that God knows us and loves us, and that we know and love God. And whatever happens to us, good or bad in this life, that our destiny is to be brought back into God's heavenly kingdom, where we will dwell with God and God will truly dwell in us. It's a peace which we can share with each other and remind each other of week by week. And it's a peace which will carry us through this world and into God's presence.